Yo, what's up? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Shift where we talk everything money, grind, trying to get away from that 9 to 5 and take the journey the way that we see fit. And so we're looking at walking through some of our trade setups, right? So today we did do $400 in the market. We stuck to our plan. We made money off of Spy and Apple, like we talked about last night, right? I'm a man of my words. And then here's the thing, if you see a setup on Spy or Apple, the cool part about options is our play went in the opposite direction of where we wanted it to go, but we still didn't fumble the bag because in options, obviously you can walk it up and you can walk it down. So if the market's down, you can make money. The market's up, we can make money, right? So on tonight's charting session, what we're gonna do is we're gonna number one, we're gonna check the news. Number two, we're gonna check for setups, and number three, we're gonna chart based off of the average true range, and then we'll repeat until we have three stocks that we like that we're gonna tap into that look like are moving in our direction, right? Um, and so that's gonna be key. That's gonna be pivotal for us. So let's get into it. For my stock research, when I'm looking for news, I typically like to tap into Yahoo Finance. I'm also a part of a couple discords, which are also in the description. Opulent Trading Collective and Teach.Trade. And so, if we're looking at this right here, we're talking about Trump says he's considering tariff relief for car companies. Ford actually went crazy today. I wonder what time this news was actually released. So, if we're looking at news, this was released roughly 4 hours ago. So auto stocks jumped on Monday afternoon after President Trump hinted tariff relief might be coming. They need a little bit of time because they're going to make them here, Trump said, adding that they need a little bit of time. So I'm talking about things like that. Trump didn't say whether relief was coming from 25% tariffs already in place for foreign auto imports or the 25% auto parts tariffs that will be finalized by May 3rd. So what we're looking at, regardless, this is news. When people see news, those candlesticks start moving. And so what we're going to look at is we're gonna tap in, see what Chevy's doing. We're gonna look at the American automakers to see what those things look like. Let's tap into. See, GM. Let's tap into General Motors. See how that went on the charts. And what I like to do is because we do day trade, I like to start on the weekly, see if there's any momentum there. So it looks like it's trying to reverse here, but nothing too crazy yet. See what it did on the daily. Okay. Decent setup, but it's not really moving in force. I'm not really seeing anything that's making me say, hey, from this candle to this candle, I'd like that's a huge gap. Because we like to play the gaps and like to play, higher upside. So this will be considered a key resistance level. But if we're not getting what we want here, we're gonna keep it pushing. Let's look at forward. Okay, Ford has some nice upside here. Kind of like that. Let's see how the news is relevant. Equity markets rise as traders track tariff updates. Yields slump. Ford and GM stocks pop after Trump says he's looking at auto tariff pause. Let's look at it. I kind of like that upside right there. It's a reversal candle here. So we were going two down. Now we're going two up. But we can play this either way. Um, what I kind of don't like. Hold on. Let me make sure I got the right forward here. Uh, yes. There we go. There we go. Is this the right Ford company? Ford Motor. Okay. Cool. So if we're looking at this, we see this currently at $9.81. And that next resistance level is at $10.20 roughly. So when we're actually looking at these, we want to check out to see how much the actual premiums are on this, because the stock is so cheap. Those premiums might be uh, extremely cheap as well. So this is like when I talk to you guys about being in the market and you can find plays at different prices. This could be a huge opportunity for us. So we're gonna go ahead and pull up Webull. Oh yeah, Webull. Bear with me. I recently re-downloaded. I got a new laptop setup, so I re-downloaded a lot of these. So if we're looking at the markets, markets went crazy today. Um, so let's look at Ford. And we want to look at options. Okay, like it. Why are you doing that? Okay, we got the little tutorial here. What the hell is going on? Okay. I'm not a super fan of Webull desktop. I typically do it on the mobile, but for this session, I want to kind of walk through how we found our setups and how we go through building these out. So we're looking at Ford, and we're trying to find a call. So we were looking at right or puts. Either way, we can play the market either way, but we want to figure out what the prices on those are. And so when you're looking at options trading, you want to look at how far the bid ask spread is apart as well. So these right here, these are in the money, these are out of money. We trade out of the money calls. And I like this bid ask spread right here. It's 15 cents and 14 cents. So that means this play, you can get in for $15. You can get in for $14. That is beautiful right there. If we're looking at puts, right? You can get in these plays. So say it goes to 9.5, it goes to 9. That's a really tight bid ask spread. That's something you can get into. And the beautiful part is this price. I love this price. So what I like to look for is I like to look for a tight bid ask spread, whether it's puts or it's calls. Right. And then one other thing I like to look at is I like to look at open interest and volume. So the open interest on these, that $9, that 8.85, that open interest is really, really high. I even like this open interest for this $9.50. If we're looking at this right here, the open interest on this one is 55,391 because everybody's thinking that it's going to go up to that 9.85 strike price. I like $10 a little bit more because it's clean. But at the same time, if we're mapping this out and we're looking at our chart and saying, hey, where could this go? That's going to be closer for us in the money and where we want to go. So let's chart this out. Very cheap, right? You're talking about $15 to get in the market to potentially make, $100, $200, $300. That's wild. That's why I like to talk to y'all about options trading, because it's such a life changer. Now, when we're doing our charting, we start on the daily. And we're looking at the strike price of $9.85, which is easily achievable. So here, our average total range per day is 0.48. So we're gonna go here, put our ATRs in here where it could potentially go. ATR on the daily, where did it stop? 9.71. And then we're gonna add in our average true range here, which is 0.48. So that's gonna be 10.19 as a potential upside. That's a nice move right there. And that's cheap. So if it moves like this candle right here and it jumps $8.49 to $9.50, if it jumps $1, that'd be pretty phenomenal. But the cool part is you don't have to buy an incredible amount of those to make good money. So you could spend $15, you could spend $150, right? The move is going to be the move, and so that's really dope. The move is going to be the move. So we got our ATR up, and then since we're in options, we also look at our options going down as well. And so let's look at this. We're gonna zero out that. We're gonna take that 9.71, and we're going to subtract 0.48. See where it goes. 9.23. So we add another one of these. Bam. So this is gonna give us our range. So 9.23 of where it could go. That's the range that it's probably going to trade in. And the cool part is, like I said, this gives people who don't have large accounts the ability to tap in and to make money. So we'll take this. We got our average true ranges tagged in here. And then we want to, since we're day trading, you would do the same thing. Like you would go weekly to daily if you were a swing trader, or you go monthly to daily. But we're going daily to the 4 hour to see where it could potentially go and where we would enter for our calls and our puts. So, bam, this is going to be a call entry for me. Excuse me. Uh, be a call on the 4 hour. Bam. And that's a doji. So that's saying it could go either way. But with this momentum, we got these two ups. It's highly likely that it's going to go up. So I'm really liking this play for tomorrow. And bam, we'll put our puts entry for the 4 hours. We enter puts. So it's got the potential to go all the way here. And so let's mark out our take profit levels in between after the call. So really, we're looking for our next take profit level is here, which is pretty wild. And so since that's the case, I don't really have to add any additional lines because once it breaks through there, well, we can go ahead and mark these out, what levels they need to go to. So bam, that's a level right there. Just in case it just keeps riding out, we still ready for war, right? Boom, boom, boom. That's a level right here that it could go to. And as it's going to these levels, remember we talked last night about the average true range. Once that gets exhausted, that's when things get volatile, right? And so it could reverse on you. The average true range is telling you what it normally trades on the last 14 days. So we're going to go ahead and mark this one as well. Bam. There's a target right there. Target level. Target level, target level. And if it keeps going, it's got this gap to fill. So there's a high chance that it goes to $10.40. And then where we at next? If it keeps running. There's a target level right there as well. So, and then what I like to do is we're gonna find our put target levels as well. Because like you said, if market moves down, we can make money. Market moves up, we can make money. So there's one. Uh, there's one right there. This will be a target level band. Okay. And then what we'll do here is we'll set an alarm here. We'll set an alert on all these levels. So that way we know where we're going. And then we'll add it to our tomorrow list. And we'll bring it to the top. Because I got a few here that may be moving the way like I like them to move. The more you get it, the more you're in the trading game, the more you realize you'll start to find stocks that you feel are like great setups that you can tap into. And with us picking three, it's going to set us up for success because if one doesn't go our way, say we wake up, because we always like to check the charts in the morning as well. If the chart is completely off, then we won't trade the way we trade. We'll probably rechart, see where it's going, and then go from there. Or we can pivot. We can tap into some of the trades that are in some of the Discord groups, but we got opportunity to make money across the board. You want to give yourself the best chances for success. Damn. But yeah, this is why options is so beautiful because anybody can make money in the options game. It's just about discipline, charting, finding the right setups at the right times, and doing your due diligence, man. The bar is extremely low, but there's a lot of money to be made. And then what we're gonna do is, like we said, we're gonna add this to our tomorrow's watch list. We'll bring it to the top. Boom. And then we're gonna do the same thing. So we're gonna go check some news, see what else they're talking about. Chinese suppliers mock tariffs with Nike Lululemon deals on TikTok. Ah. Trump moves to scrap binary credit. Jamie Dimon sells about 31 million of JP Morgan's shares. Probably stay away from that because JP Morgan is actually a pretty solid company. But let's check the chart, see what it says. Hey, you never know. Because we charted JPM last night. Okay. JP Morgan's looking like it's in force to go up for the next day. And there's a gap to fill. So let's see. That's an inside candle, which is a 1. And that gap is, where's that gap? 244 from 237. That's a pretty big gap. Let's see what the news is. JP Morgan Chase boosted reserves by 471 million in its consumer and community banking division to address potential economic uncertainties, including rising unemployment and increased downside risk. So there could be some downside risk there as well. It's almost looking like a doji on the 4-hour. Let's check the 1 day. So from 240, and actually the interesting part here is if it goes 240 average range that it moves a day is 10.63. So 10.63 plus 234, we'll call it 244. It could go to 244. That's actually almost a perfect range right there to fill that gap and then potentially keep going. I actually like this JP Morgan play. Remember, we get the news and then we chart it out. So let's tap in and see what we got here. And then we'll look at our watch list over here to see where we're going or where we have the potential to go. So first we're gonna do our average target range. 234.72 plus 10.63. 245. 245.35. Okay. So that's enough to fill that gap right there. I like it. And then let's chart it on the way down. We're going. So 234.72 minus 10.63 equals 224.09. So that's saying downside exhaustion, we meet it here. Upside, exhaustion, we meet it here potentially. Gotta hydrate. 4 hour. So this is going to tell us when to take our entries, when to take our exits. Our entries and our puts and our calls. So call there. If exits that one, we're gonna take calls. Exits here, we're gonna take puts. So we can make money both ways. Here we go. We got our calls and our puts set up. And then let's check out our key levels. Where we going? Bam, there's a key level. There's that next one. Whoa. The next key level is actually up here. That's funny. So we got our target level there. Exhaustion risk here because that average trading range, but you never know what could happen. Then we had target right there, or the target level, what we're looking at right there. Then we're going to look at our downside. This could be a potential target level here. And if we keep going, potential target level here. And then what we're going to do next. Yeah, you got it. We're going to put our alerts on here. See where they can go. Got that alert popping. Got that alert pop. And the cool part is we wake up and it shifts all over the place. We still got these key levels locked in to see where that price could potentially move to. So now we got a two for the day. Let's add this to tomorrow's list. Bam. And we use those based off of news. And either way it goes, we can make money. So let's tap into, I think I'm going to use SPY as see what SPY was doing, see if it's got any more gaps to fill. It certainly does. Gaps to the upside here, gaps down here. Yep. And we almost have a hammer on the daily. So that looks like some nice recovery. Um, one thing I'll do is before we exit, I'll actually pick some strike prices so that way we know where we want to go. But we'll chart SPY. So let's look at our average true range, 19.37. That's the beautiful part about SPY is you can make a good amount of money off of SPY because it moves so high up and down. It's very volatile. You got to watch it, but it does. It moves very, very far up and down. And if you play it the right way, you can make a lot of money. I think today, half of our earnings, I think we made 250 off of SPY, if I remember right. It's the ATR. We ended up at 539.2.12. And SPY actually moves a lot overnight. So, it's one of those things where you're going to want to recheck your movements during the daytime. 539.12 plus 19.37. 558. 558.49. Nice little range. $539.12 minus what we got 19.37. So it could go all the way to 519. Then we go in, find our entry where we would enter for calls and where we would enter for puts on the 4-hour. Call entry. Oh, this is a little messy. I don't like that. And then put entry on the 4-hour. Calls and puts. And then we're going to do what? Yeah, you got it. We're going to look for our key levels. There's a target level right there. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? Target level. There's another target level. And you see in the background, we got these little indicators here. These are actually based off of indicators that I purchased through being a part of a trading collective. Bam, there go a target level. There's the next one right there. And that's a whole gap to the upside. I like that. I like that gap fill. A lot of money to be made on that one. Another target level. Well, we're looking at where, when we talk about these target levels, we're looking at where it could go up and then it could bounce. And then bam. We can exhaust this and go up, go up. That would be very nice for the market to kind of return. Then we got to do our put levels. Here. Man, it would be brilliant if it went down there. But I think the market would go into another panic. But you know what they say, when everybody's afraid, you be brave. And then when everybody's super brave, you be afraid a little bit. So now what we're going to do, we're going to put alerts on all our levels. All right. Put one on that ATR. And we are done for the night, family. We have added all of these. Our top 3 for tomorrow. There's obviously some more movement in the market going on. We can tap into some of these a little bit later. I actually like that Procter and Gamble downside, 168. But nothing moves like the SPY. So we'll remove some of these tickers. Bam. Bam. And this is what we're going to focus on tomorrow. Also, we're going to focus on what's in the Discord groups. Like, comment, subscribe, tap in with us. You know, the cool part about the market is it can go as far as you want to take it and as much discipline as you want to put into the game. So, and life is all about putting skin in the game, tapping in, doing what you need to do to get to the next level. I hope that I was able to, help guide you through some of these things. Like I said, this week, today, we tapped into our plan. We had a $400 day, which is beautiful. And we just gonna keep swinging, keep doing what we do, stay disciplined out there. I appreciate y'all. Hungry Millennial out. Peace.